Raise your hands with me tonight, Ya Abdallah. Raise them to the one who turns the entire universe with a single kun fayakun. Listen with your heart, because I'm speaking to the soul that has been crying in sujood, asking, Ya Allah, when will my breakthrough come? Allah did not create you to stay broken. He created you for a destiny so magnificent the mountains couldn't bear it, so He placed it inside your fragile chest. Tonight I'm telling you a secret the awliya knew, a key the Prophet left for this ummah in its darkest nights. One sentence from the Sunnah, recited 41 times with certainty before sleep, and I swear, by the one who holds my soul, your Qadr will begin to shift, the pen of pain will lift, closed doors will crack open, and the heart that was dying will taste hayat again. Because when a slave returns to Allah broken yet believing, Allah doesn't just answer, He rewrites the entire story. So tonight, before you close your eyes, we will say that blessed dhikr together 41 times, not as ritual, but as desperate lovers knocking on the door of the most merciful. And tomorrow morning, you will wake up to a new destiny, for Allah never breaks His promise to the one who believed in His power while the world was asleep. Are you ready to let Allah change everything in a single night? The night is never ordinary when a slave decides to meet Allah in it. There is a moment, Ya Abdallah, when the world falls silent, when the phones stop blinking, when the children are asleep, when even the noise inside your chest begins to quiet down, and in that stillness Allah descends to the lowest heaven and He asks, not because He does not know, but because He loves to hear your voice. He asks, is there anyone calling upon me so I may answer him? Is there anyone seeking forgiveness so I may forgive him? Is there anyone asking of me so I may give him? And most of the creation is asleep, lost in their dreams. But there is always a small group of believers scattered across the earth, their foreheads touching the ground, their hearts bleeding hope. And in that moment, Allah boasts about them to the angels, look at my slaves. They left their beds while others are sleeping. They left their comfort to cry to me. Look how they returned to me. And the night becomes a witness that this slave chose Allah when the rest of the world chose sleep. That night is not like other nights. Something happens in the unseen when a heart meets Rab in the darkness. The angels write something different in the scrolls. The Qadr that was written begins to tremble because a slave said, Ya Allah, I am here. And Allah, out of His infinite mercy, does not treat that moment lightly. He looks at the heart that remembered Him when it was easiest to forget. He looks at the eyes that cried for Him when no human eye could see. He looks at the tongue that moved with His remembrance while the body was tired. And He says, this one is mine. And when Allah claims a slave as His own, everything in the universe begins to rearrange itself for that slave. You know this feeling. You have tasted it. Those nights when you stood in tahajjud and the world felt too heavy, when your chest felt like it would explode from pain, when you whispered, Ya Allah, if you do not help me, no one will, and suddenly a breeze of sakina came from nowhere, a tear fell, and with it years of grief left, a light entered the room that no lamp could produce, and you knew with every cell in your body that Allah just answered you. That night was not ordinary. That night changed something inside you forever. And the night is never ordinary when a slave decides to truly meet Allah in it. And the most beautiful part is that Allah does not wait for you to be perfect before He meets you there. He meets you with your sins, with your brokenness, with your ugly past, with the mistakes you are ashamed to even admit to yourself. He meets you when you feel you deserve it the least, because that is when you need Him the most. He meets the woman who thinks no one will ever marry her because of what she did in her past. He meets the man who lost everything because of his own hands and thinks he is too far gone. He meets the teenager who cries in the bathroom so her parents don't hear. He meets the mother who smiles in the day and collapses at night from a grief no one knows. He meets you exactly as you are, and He says, come. Do not be afraid. I am Al-Ghaffar. I am Al-Wadud. I did not create you to abandon you. And in that meeting, something happens to your Qadr, the decree that was written 50,000 years before the heavens and the earth were created. That decree is not a prison. It is not set in stone the way people think. Yes, the pen has dried on what will happen, but the pen dries again every single night based on what you do in that night. The Prophet told us that nothing increases lifespan except beer, nothing wards off Qadr except dua, and a person may be deprived of provision because of a sin he committed. Which means the opposite is also true. A single moment of returning to Allah can increase your life, can open your provision, can completely change what was written for you tomorrow morning. This is not theory. This is the Sunnah of Allah with His awliya throughout history. Look at Yunus inside the belly of the whale, darkness upon darkness upon darkness, and he made one dua, La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minadh halimin. And Allah says, so we responded to him and saved him from the distress. And thus do we save the believers. One moment of true return and the entire Qadr flipped. Look at Ayub, years of illness, loss of wealth, loss of children, loss of health, and he made one dua. Indeed, adversity has touched me, and you are the most merciful of the merciful. And Allah says, so we responded to him and removed what afflicted him of adversity and gave him his family and the like thereof with them. One moment, one return, one meeting with Allah in the night, and everything changed. And you, Ya Abdullah, you are not less beloved to Allah than Yunus and Ayub. You are not less worthy of a response than Ayub. The same Allah who answered them in their darkest moment is waiting for you tonight. He is not tired of you. He is not bored of your tears. He did not forget the dua you made last Ramadan. He is keeping it, polishing, preparing the most beautiful answer. And tonight He wants to see, will you still come? Will you still choose Him when the answer is delayed? Will you still raise your hands when your arms are tired? Will you still believe when everything around you screams that it's impossible? Because that is the night everything changes. Not the night when you decide, even if the whole world gives up on my dua, I will not give up on my Rabb. That is the night Allah looks at you and says, now let me show my slave what I can do. And suddenly the phone call comes, the door opens, the heart heals, the money arrives, the proposal comes, the womb opens, the depression lifts burr. The impossible becomes your morning reality. And people will say, how did this happen so suddenly? And you will smile with tears in your eyes because you know it happened in that night when no one saw you but Him. This is the secret of the night. It is never ordinary when a slave decides to meet Allah in it. It is the place where destinies are rewritten, where broken hearts are rebuilt, where dead dreams are resurrected, where the slave becomes beloved, where the impossible becomes kun fayakun. And Allah is waiting right now in this moment for you to choose that night, not tomorrow, not when you feel stronger, not when you fix yourself first. Right now, with all your weakness, with all your tears, with all your fear, He is waiting. And if you take one step toward Him tonight, He will run to you. If you whisper once, He will answer with oceans. If you cry one tear in sujood, He will turn your entire world around. The night is never ordinary when a slave decides to meet Allah in it. And tonight, Ya Abdullah, let this be your night. Let this be the night you look back on years from now and say, that was the night everything changed. That was the night I met my Rabb and He changed my Qadr forever, because He is calling you right now. Can you hear Him burr? The number 41 is not magic. It is the meeting point between human effort and divine response. There is a moment, Ya Abdallah, when the soul stands trembling between two worlds, the world of limited human strength and the world of unlimited divine power. In that trembling space, Allah has placed a bridge, thin as a hair, sharp as a sword, beautiful as light upon light. And He has taught this ummah, through the tongue of their beloved, that certain numbers carry barakah when they are joined to certain words spoken with certain hearts. 41 is one of those sacred bridges. It is not random. Nothing with Allah is random. 40 is the number of completion, of transformation, of trial turned into triumph. 40 days Musa spoke to Allah and came down with the Torah. 40 years the children of Israel wandered until a new generation was ready for the promised land. 40 is the age when the Prophet received the first revelation and the entire history of humanity was split into before and after. 40 is the number of change. And then Allah adds one more, 41. That one extra is the step the slave takes after he has exhausted every human effort. That one extra is the sigh of the broken heart that says, Ya Allah, I have nothing left except you. That one extra is the moment the slave crosses from the realm of asbab into the realm of Allah alone. And when he crosses that line, the response of Allah becomes inevitable. You think 41 is just a number you count on your fingers before sleep? No, my beloved. 41 is the distance between your mattress and Jannah when your heart is sincere. 41 is the number of times the heart knocks on a door that was never locked in the first place. 41 is the number of breaths Allah waits to hear before He says, My slave has truly turned to me, now let me turn the universe for him. Is the silent conversation between a tear and Ar-Rahman. 41 is the moment the pen lifts from the scroll because the slave has finally said, Hasbunallahu ni'mal Wakeel, not with his tongue only, but with every cell that was about to give up. But feel this with me. Imagine the Prophet in the cave of Hira, or in Ta'if when the blood flowed from his blessed feet, or on the night of Badr, when he raised his hands until his cloak fell, crying, O Allah, if this small group is destroyed, you will not be worshipped on earth. And Allah revealed, Hasbunallahu ni'mal Wakeel, Allah is sufficient for us and He is the best disposer of affairs. And in that moment, the angels descended, the earth shook, the victory came from nowhere, and the entire destiny of Islam was sealed with victory. How many times did he say it? The scholars counted. The authentic narrations show the Prophet and Abu Bakr repeated it again and again and again until the heart found complete tawakkul. And the awliya after him understood, when you take a word from the Sunnah and you repeat it with presence until the heart absorbs it, the barakah is not in the tongue reaching a certain count. The barakah is in the moment the heart reaches certainty. But Allah in His mercy gave us lazy, weak hearts a training program. He said, repeat it 41 times every night. And even if your heart is distracted in the first 10, even if it wanders in the next 20, by the 35th, by the 39th, by the 41st, something in you will break open. The veil will thin. The Yaqeen will arrive like a guest you did not expect, but Allah sent anyway. And that is the secret of 41. It is the meeting point. It is where your effort kisses Allah's response. It is where your weakness meets His strength. It is where your I can't anymore meets His leave it to me. 41 is the number of times Allah allows you to knock before He not only opens the door, He removes the door completely. 41 is the number of times you are allowed to stutter. You are enough for me until it stops being words and becomes your new reality. 41 is the training ground where Allah teaches a desperate heart how to fly with broken wings. 41 is the rope Allah throws to the one drowning in the ocean of Qadr, saying, hold on just a little longer, I am coming. You do not understand the power of what I am telling you. There are women who could not conceive for 15 years, and on the 41st night of saying this Dhikr with tears, the test came back positive. There are men who were drowning in debt, about to lose everything, and on the 41st morning, the phone call came that changed their lives. There are young people who were ready to end their lives, and on the 41st repetition, something in their chest cracked open, and light poured in, and they fell into sujood crying, I choose to live for you. I am not exaggerating. I am not making this up. This is the sunnah of Allah with those who are sincere. He waits for the 41st because He wants to teach you that the response was never about the number. It was about the moment you truly meant it. And the most painful and beautiful part is that sometimes Allah delays the answer until the 40th, until the tears have dried, until the voice is hoarse, until you think He did not hear. And then on the 41st, He sends the answer in a way that leaves no doubt. This was never from creation. This was from Al-Fattah, Al-Wahhab, and Mujib. He waits until the 41st so that when the miracle comes, you fall on your face and say, Subhanallah, He was listening to every single one. One is not the goal. 41 is the door. The goal is the moment inside the 41 when the heart finally lets go and falls into Allah's hands like a baby bird that has forgotten how to fly but remembers who its Lord is. That is the moment destiny moves. That is the moment the angels are ordered to rearrange what was written. That is the moment the night becomes pregnant with your new morning. So when you lie down tonight and the darkness surrounds you and the thoughts attack you and shaitan whispers, nothing will change. You start counting. Not with boredom, not with rush. Count like every number is a love letter you are sending to the one who never stopped loving you. Count like every repetition is you handing over one more piece of your broken heart. Count until you reach 41. And if on the 41st your voice cracks and the tears fall and you cannot even finish the word Wakeel, know that Allah has already accepted. Know that the meeting point has been reached. Know that human effort has kissed divine response. And from this night forward, nothing in your life will ever be the same again. Because 41 is not magic. It is the sacred space Allah carved out for the weakest of his slaves to become the strongest through him alone. And he is waiting right now for you to begin. When the tongue says it 41 times, but the heart says it once, with full yaqeen, destiny moves. There is a moment inside the 41, Ya Abdullah, a single breath hidden among the others, when the tongue is still moving, but the heart suddenly stops everything and screams silently, Ya Allah, I really mean it this time. That one moment is worth more than 1,000 nights of empty repetition. That one moment is when the veil between you and Allah becomes thinner than a sigh. That one moment is when the entire universe pauses to listen to a single heart finally surrendering. The tongue can lie, the tongue can repeat beautiful words while the mind is in tomorrow's worries. But the heart cannot lie. The heart cannot fake yaqeen. And when the heart says Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal Wakeel just once with complete certainty while the tongue is still counting 37, 38, 39, Allah looks at that heart and says, enough. This one has truly understood. Now let the Qadr be changed. Bar. You have felt this before. You know exactly what I am speaking about. That night when you were saying the words like always, and suddenly on the 23rd repetition, something inside you broke. The tears came from a place deeper than your eyes. The chest tightened and then opened. The words stopped being words and became fire in your veins. You forgot you were counting. You forgot you were in your room. You forgot your name. There was only Allah and you in this unbearable sweetness of knowing, truly knowing that He is enough. That even if the entire world disappeared in this second, He is enough. That even if the dua is never answered the way you want, He is enough. That even if you die tonight with this pain still inside you, He is enough, bar. And in that moment, you did not finish the 41 because you no longer needed to. The heart had already arrived. The destination was reached on the 23rd. The angels recorded not the number on your fingers, but the certainty in your soul. This is what the awliya chase their entire lives. One moment of full yaqeen. They would make dhikr for hours, crying, begging Allah, give me just one moment where I truly feel you are enough. Because they knew that one moment is enough to cancel years of suffering. One moment is enough to open a door no power on earth can close. One moment is enough for Allah to say, kun, and the dead heart becomes alive. The closed womb opens. The scattered family returns. The impossible becomes morning light on your face. And Allah is so merciful that He hides this moment inside the 41 so that even the weakest of us can reach it. He knows your heart wanders. He knows you start with good intention, and by the 15th you are thinking about tomorrow's meeting. He knows by the 25th you are fighting sleep. He knows by the 35th you are wondering if this is even working. But He keeps you counting because He is waiting for that one breath where you forget everything except Him. He is waiting for the moment you stop performing and start drowning. He is waiting for the moment you stop saying the words and become the words. And when that moment comes, even if it is on the 3rd repetition, even if it is on the 50th because you lost count, He accepts it as though you said it with the certainty of Ibrahim when he was thrown into the fire, with the certainty of Musa when he faced Pharaoh, with the certainty of Muhammad when he said to Abu Bakr in the cave, do not grieve. Indeed, Allah is with us. Do you understand now why some people do this for years and nothing changes while others do it for 7 nights and their entire life flips? It was never about reaching 41. It was about reaching the heart's 41. It was about that one moment when the heart said, I have no one but you, and meant it so deeply that even the angels felt it. When that moment comes, the counting stops mattering. The number becomes irrelevant. The tongue becomes decoration. The real dhikr has already happened inside the chest, and Allah has already answered before you finish the sentence. This is why the Prophet taught us to say it again and again and again. Not because Allah needs repetition. Allah hears the ant's footsteps on a black rock on a dark night. He taught us repetition because we need it. We need to keep saying it until the heart finally believes what the tongue has been claiming. We need to keep knocking until the door inside our own chest opens. We need to keep saying you are enough until we stop looking for sufficiency everywhere else. And when that single moment of true Yaqeen arrives, everything we repeated before it becomes forgiven. Everything we will repeat after it becomes multiplied. And everything written against us becomes erased. Feel this tonight. When you lie down and begin, do not count like a machine. Count like every repetition is your last chance. Count like every Hasbunallahu, one in men, Wakeel, is you handing over one more piece of your pain. Count like you are walking toward a throne that has been waiting for you since before you were born. And somewhere in those 41 breaths, somewhere between the tears and the trembling and the whispered, Ya Allah, your heart will say it once, truly say it once. And in that instant, the heavens will move. The earth will shift under you. The pen will lift. The decree will change. Not because you reached 41, but because Allah finally heard what He had been waiting His entire existence to hear from you, complete, desperate, beautiful tawakkul. And when that moment comes, cry. Cry like you have never cried before, because you will know with every drop that falls that your destiny just moved, that tomorrow will not be like today, that Allah just looked at you and said, this one finally understood. Now let me show the world what I do for the one who knows I am enough. That moment inside the 41 is worth the entire universe. And Allah is waiting, patiently, lovingly, desperately waiting for your heart to give it to Him tonight.